Welcome, first graders. I know it seems like a million years ago, but do you remember before we left our classroom, we had been working in our reading workbook and we had listened to the story called Earthworms. If I remember correctly, we had already taken care of page number 35. We already took care of page 36 where we drew and we labeled the different parts of a worm, which, if my calculations are correct, today we need to take care of page 37. It's about worm tunnels. Listen closely while I read to you, or go get your book and you can follow along while I go over the things that you need to be listening for today when I go back and reread so that you can successfully answer the questions. After I read, you're going to have to write 3 things you learned about worm tunnels. Now, we love those little hints in the blue box. That tells you what you need to be tuned into while I'm reading. The hint says, how does a worm make a tunnel? And do the tunnels stay there forever? All right, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to reread the section about moving and about tunneling. And what I want you to do is I want you to pay very close attention. Moving. Worms have strong muscles to help them move. There are ring-shaped muscles inside each segment. These make their body shrink or spread out. Other muscles run along their body and they make it grow short or long. And then we always read the captions. This caption says, a worm's damp body helps it move easily through the soil. Next page. I'm going to try and move you. There we go. A worm's bristles are very important in helping it move. The worm digs its bristles into the soil and anchors itself. Anchors means makes it stay put. Caption number 1, a worm moves by pointing its head in the direction that it wants to go. It anchors the back of its body and the head end becomes thicker. In this picture, our caption tells us what's happening. The worm then stretches its body to push through the soil. It anchors the front of its body and brings up the rear. Tunneling. A worm makes tunnels by pushing its way into the soil and eating it. As the worm moves forward, its body coats the soil with slime. This makes the tunnels stronger, but they soon collapse. Here we have a worm tunneling its way through the soil. Okay. Worm tunnels make airy spaces under the soil. These spaces help rainwater drain away. The soil becomes looser and finer, so it's easier for plants to grow. Some worms burrow deeper underground when the weather is too cold or too dry. They push down to a few feet below the surface, then coil up and go to sleep. They wake up when the weather gets better. Our caption says, this worm is sleeping through a hot, dry summer in a burrow deep underground. All right, so before I have you get to work, let's think about some of the things that you just heard. The first one, what do worms use to move? Do you remember? What did I tell you worms use to move? Worms have strong muscles to help them move. Worms have bristles to help them move. The worm anchors itself, and that helps it move. What does a worm's body have that helps them make tunnels? Do you remember? A worm makes tunnels by pushing its way through the soil. Its body coats the soil with slime. You got it, slime. And that makes the tunnels stronger. Do the tunnels last forever? My goodness, no. They soon collapse. But while those tunnels are there, those tunnels do something to the soil. Do you remember what they do to the soil? Yeah, they make it good for planting. Okay. My last question, why don't you see worms when the weather is hot? Remember? Yeah, because they go underground to stay cool. All right. Now I want you to open up to page 37. I want you to write 3 things you learned about worm tunnels. You could write about how they make a tunnel. You could write about what the tunnels help with, what they use their tunnels for, or tell me about how long the tunnels stay. You have space for 3 sentences. They've given you 2 lines for each sentence. That means you need to have a complete sentence. You need to tell me the worm or the tunnel, and you need to finish your sentence. I don't want one word. I also want a capital letter at the beginning and a period at the end. But you probably already knew that, right? Okay. If you need help spelling earthworms, it's right up here. If you need help spelling tunnels, it's right there. Take a picture of this, send it to me on Seesaw so that I can check your work. All right.